Hi everyone, I'm back with another video, kind of a part two. My other one started off on kind of magic, um, two books that, well, one was more magical than the other one was more how mythic. But I guess if you think of tarot, the mythic journey, that book that I showed, I mean, that is what the 22 majors are about, archetypes, and you can always find those in those mythic tales. Definitely. So I guess it is kind of connected. These are tarot books, like I said in my previous video that I was going to review. Books that just help me in general learn tarot, read tarot, become comfortable with it. Um, my journey with tarot is ongoing, and I'm sure I'm going to find more books and I have other books also um, that I like, and eventually probably I'll be showing those as well. But these ones were early in my journey to learn tarot. Two of them that I'm going to show are about magic and tarot, and one maybe not so much, but it was described as a magical course in tarot. And this is by Michelle Morgan. Um, she has a book also called Simple Wicca, which I don't have, but I really love this book, and I believe I'm going to get to her name right. I said it in one of the video today, and it's Owl Moon 513 Racine. I believe I've been watching her for years, and I believe this is one book that she also had recommended as well. So I definitely believe this book is definitely a different perspective than other tarot books that I have ever read. Magical Course, and it's reading the cards in a whole new way. I think I have shown this before. I don't know. Maybe not. Some of my earlier videos, I might have talked about it. If I have, well, you can tell that I really like this book. And the reason why I like it is I really think she gives a great start to anyone just starting out on the journey. And especially someone that is pagan, Wiccan, magically inclined, I think that's why I connected a lot more to the decks in that way, and this book kind of supported that. But she goes down to choosing your deck, and just the way, cleansing it, smudging it, and opening your intuition. And I think that's what I like the best about it. It was approaching tarot from an intuitive perspective. And she goes into simple things like, is the devil an evil card? Can you manipulate a reading? What about the death card? And all the things. I think if you're new to tarot, or you're learning about tarot, and you don't have any sort of, or you're coming, especially I think from a Christian background, you think, oh, the devil, death, all bad. But yeah, this book really, I love her descriptions of the cards. Just like the moon, for example. And I also like, too, that she didn't have a specific deck or tarot deck. It's just artwork illustrated by Rebecca Richards. And to me, that was nice, too, because at the time when I was starting, I didn't really have a particular favorite kind of deck. I was still trying to find myself in tarot. And as I've said previously, my really soul deck and beginning deck was that I really connected with, and still is always is the Robin Wood. But while I was going through that process of trying to figure out what deck was going to be one that I could work with, this book was one that had, didn't give any sort of particular card or any specific deck as the representation, just artwork, which I liked. An example of what she says about the moon. The moon is a harbinger of mystery and change. This card rules the subconscious, proffering messages through dreams and prophetic vision. The cyclical nature of the moon and its gravitational influence are also highlighted here, as in situations and relationships shifting and evolving, or perhaps finding yourself inexplicably drawn to something or someone in a game of intrigue. Creativity, psychic ability, and imagination intensify, and your desire to explore the unknown leads to all kinds of new opportunities. Take care, however, that what is hidden from you should not remain so. Allow your heightened intuition to serve as a guide through this enchanted night. When I started my tarot journey, and now that I learned when the moon comes up, it is a clue to take a look at something that might be hidden, either on a person, if it's reading in regards to another person and your dealings with them. When the moon comes up, my antennas come up. There's something behind the scenes. Something may not be what it seems. And so it is a kind of, I like the, even the word intrigue. But yeah, so that's an example of one of the major cards. And it's the same as far as the minor. It's also just pictures. The Six of Pentacles celebrates nature of generosity. This is a card of bounty, of material and physical comfort. It represents a time to experience the flow of abundance through yourself and others. Here you find your needs met above and beyond expectation. Money and other resources come your way through unforeseen channels. With this six, you discover your own charitable nature, as well as experience the joy of sharing and your good fortune with those who need it. To give without expectation of return will make you rich indeed. And that is so, I live my life by that. So I love that that was in this book. And like I said, when on my journey, that's now my core belief system. And I love that it was in this book to begin with. And she also does spreads, timelines, and why the king and queen aren't speaking, taking a reading to the next level. It's a great book, a great little book. So yeah, A Magical Course in Tarot by Michelle Morgan. My next book, and I have to hold it from the bottom. I don't know why I put it on the bottom. And this was when I referenced in my other video, those of us who have pets, cats. Yes, cats that love to chew your books. I have a lot of books like this. They just decide to eat the corner of it. So yes, this has been loved by my cats. Dorothy Morrison, who I mentioned was key in my first clear realization that I had done a spell when I was 13 and had been directed to do it, and had no previous knowledge of it. But when I saw her book, The Craft, in the bookstore, that's when, so hence my love of Dorothy Morrison started with that book and then moved on to other books that she did. This book here is really special to me, so I'm kind of bummed out that my cat chewed on this. But that's what happens. My husband and I used to go to kind of like pagan, really big celebrations, but really the main one was Beltane. And we used to go to a place in Connecticut, and it would be a weekend, and you could camp there, and just they would have all kinds of vendors. They would have I kind of think of it like an analogy of like kind of like a Renaissance fair, but not really. They would have vendors, speakers. There'd be people there giving courses, and it was in kind of like a field, and there was parts that were wooded as well around this place where they held it. And it was every year, and every year there were different people come and speak, talk, share their information, either on books or courses. There'd be like a weekend course for them, or you could go to several. You'd sign up for several courses. I guess like the tarothons that I see people go to. where you can take classes. You know, you go and you hear someone lecture on their book or cards, or but this one was more around the whole festival of Beltane, but there was magical aspects to it as well as religious, as far as Wicca. And so anyways, I'm rambling again. I'll stop that. This book, Dorothy Morrison was actually there that year, along with Christopher Penczak and Ellen Duggan, who I love her. That I'm going to do a review of some of her books that I've found helpful in the type of my practice. Because it is kind of like, I consider myself more like like I said, if I was going to think of myself as a witch, it was all more on a kind of a cottage witchery, green witch, white witch / white witch, I guess. I don't like the term white and black, as I've said previously, as far as magic, like good or bad. I don't really agree with that. Magic is magic. But there are a lot of earth-based magics, and that's what I mean to, is what I'm trying to say. Cooking. You can create magic with cooking. A meal for your family, put all kinds of intents into it as well. So anyways, again, back on track. Tarot Magic by Dorothy Morrison. She was actually at the Beltane Festival that year, and this book had come out around that time, so she was there. I had bought the book, and she was kind enough to have signed it for me. And yeah, I was very, very happy that I got to meet her. And the wonderful thing about that weekend is anybody that was a guest speaker, I mean, they hung around with you. There was like a mess tent where, you know, you go get coffee, food, whatever, and they would be sitting there, and you could sit down next to them, and we had amazing conversations. I was able to sit and talk to her, and talk to Christopher Penczak and Ellen Duggan, and it was really a great weekend. So yes, Tarot Magic. I love this book, and I actually have. I think I had made a comment. Someone had just on Tarot Magic in general. I have cards where I use just for Tarot Magic, and whenever I have a deck that is damaged or has missing cards, or I got a double copy once. I forget why. I think a deck was lost in transit, and then I ended up getting two for some reason. And so I also use, you know, if I end up with a double of a deck, I'll use one for Tarot Magic, Tarot spells, because I don't really care if anything happens to the card, like it gets candle wax on it, or, you know, or it's been sitting with herbs, or I pretty much have certain ones that I just use for magic. So this book is basically taking your tarot cards and using them for spell work. And I like how she, in the book, she goes into what the cards mean, the elements that's associated with them, and explains that, and then how you take the meanings of the cards and then translate them into spell work. And she even breaks it down into the numbers. Like example, the 4s, the 5s. 4s is a group of very important because it indicates personal turning points and the stabilizing effects they have in our lives. It also speaks of the boundaries and limitations that we set for ourselves, the doors of opportunity that we allow to open, and the way we choose to bring personal projects to completion. The most stable of the numerical groups, 4s often act as the security guards of the tarot. So she has wonderful insights in tarot and in general. And then when you add that to spell work and which cards to use for certain spells. Addiction, and I think everyone, the devil, death, the magician. And then she'll also mention during a waning moon is the best time to do the spell work. The squelch minor addiction. For major problems, and please see a licensed healthcare professional, which is always wise. So she actually has the spell here. Place the cards face up, on one on top of the other, with the magician being the last card on top. Fold them together into thirds and carry them with you. When you're free of the addiction, burn them to ash and scatter them to the winds. So there are some spells here where you need to destroy the card. So again, decks that are already missing cards, I would do that with that deck. Or you can always just buy a cheap, relatively cheap deck of cards, tarot cards, and use that as well. But some of them no, some of them are not. You still get to keep the card, but a lot of them for these spells you need to burn them and get rid of them. Like this one, you make a little packet with your for a happy home spell. 4 rods, 1 white candle, and a teaspoon of powdered thyme. So you make a little packet go through the directions, and then you put it under your doormat. This one's for luck, good luck in your home. So there's all kinds of spells, but I thought I would include this because I actually still use, like I said, Tarot Magic, and this book is a great guide when I want a quick spell, if I'm working on something. But it was also a great resource to learn, like I said, which cards work with what spells, and when I need to reference that or forgot about it, this is a great resource that I go back to if I'm thinking of doing a tarot spell. Probably this book here, Tarot Made Easy, was probably my first book that I really got me to learn about the different. It put it into categories. Like I was always hung up with well, when I'm looking at a card, how do I know if it's about if it's a card in relation to finances, or like if I'm thinking of something. I couldn't bridge the fact of what did that card have to do with finances, or what did that card have to do with this. This was a way to help me get those meanings. It's Tarot Made Easy by Nancy Guerin. Get immediate, specific answers to your most pressing questions with this amazing, simple, new method. I absolutely love this book. This book, talk about breaking things down to any kind of question. It goes into the beginning. I think with everything, King of Pentacles, and it puts the sun sign with it as well. That's always helpful in a reading. But a lot of what you need, like how to phrase a question, that's on there. Your answer. It goes through examples. How do you tell a time? Like a timeline, reading for others, helpful hints. But this book, was huge for me when I was learning. It had zodiac spread, a couple of different, simplified version of the Celtic cross. This one, the category spread. But just like if you take the Magician as an example, and you can see, look, I use this book, the binding is really, I use this book so much when I was learning. So I guess this might be one of mine. I don't think it's deep though. I think it's so simple. It has broken it down to so simple that I can't think of it as kind of like a master. This is like sitting down with your grandmother who reads cards, and she's got an answer for everything, and this is probably how I don't know, it's simple, it's not esoteric in any way as far as complicated, and you need to know this archetype or that. It's just like, it breaks it down very simple. It's got the traditional Rider-Waite image on it. It's full page. An example of the Magician: a major arcana always indicates an important event, category, or month, and will overpower all other cards in both impact and effect. So if you're looking at the number 1, many ones in a reading indicate the situation is about to begin or is in the beginning stages. Focus. This focus is on new beginnings, manifesting desires, loves, urgings, houses or property, finance, future desire, romance, the unexpected. You will suddenly become more goal-oriented or motivated and will have the withdrawal to attract whatever you need. Others, you're struggling to be, to assert yourself in your work, but that is going to change dramatically. Home, it would be better to stay where you are than to go on a wild goose chase. If you've been concerned about this for the sale of a home or property, an offer will be accepted. It will be sold. Papers, you'll begin a new venture or transfer the ownership. So basically, any question that you're asking, you basically go down this line and see if it's about your job, and ask a question about your job. Expect a new beginning, a fresh start. A new partnership could also be in the making. So it is more like on what it really fine-tunes you to learn to, when you ask a question and you get this card, how it relates, what this card means about in regards to your question. That's what helped me. It helped me form questions, and it helped me when someone asked me a question. Using this book made me be able to tune in to whatever it was. If it was about their health, finances, your emotional state, this was the book that helped me break down those aspects in the card and possible meanings for the card. And this is always in relation to the other cards around it, of course, but it really did help me pull it all together where I was having trouble doing that. And it even comes, and she'll even give the special guidance, best course of action and outcome. So yeah, I just really, 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 really loved this book for that. It helped me connect to every single card, and this it goes all through it. It's not just the majors, it's all of the suits, all of the cards. So yeah, this book was huge in making the bridge, I guess, to the connection to actually going from learning the cards and their meanings, but then taking that knowledge in an actual reading and connecting that card to an actual question, what it means if it comes up, if that makes any sense. But absolutely love this book. It was huge in like I said, in my development. Another book that I would say was early on in my journey is Step by Step Tarot by Terry Donaldson. This book is like so, I love this book. It's great. What I liked about this is this book was very big on step by step learning telling the story, how the tarot works, storytelling with the tarot, and the bardic technique, which this has also helped me in reading more intuitively based on the card meaning. So like one of the steps in this is to go through keep a journal, go through every single card, and on every card you're writing your impression and the first things that come into your mind. And I think if anyone is truly ever going to learn the tarot and the meanings of them, that's kind of like one of the process. You have to get the card, you have to build a relationship so that when you see the card, you get the meaning. But to help with that, it's always helpful to have your thoughts. It's easy to remember what your feelings about a card are, and then take that with you into the readings. And this is why sometimes it's like what I feel when I see an image of a card, and that's why I love different decks, is because I may see the Magician in one deck and I won't get the same feeling towards it. But if I'm using that deck and it comes up and that card comes up, then I'm going to relate my feelings on that image. It may not be the traditional image, meaning of that image, is what I'm trying to say. And I tend to read like that, more intuitive than I do, although I do think you need to know the original archetype, especially with mages, the archetypes. But I don't always read like that. And I had a tarot reading when I was in my late 20s. I had experienced a loss, and two losses actually, the loss of my sister, and then my boys, their dad was killed in a car accident. So I had a span probably about 6 months after those. They died within 4 months of each other, my sister and my boy's father. And so I had a period, probably about 6 month period, and I had a friend. We went to nursing school together, and she was having some questions that she wanted answered, and she was more into I never even thought of any of this, like tarot or any of that kind of stuff, before her. She was my first exposure to it, because she said, "Do you want to go get your cards read?" And I'm like, "What? Tarot cards? Oh, that's a bunch of, that's like in the movies." And I never took it serious. But she says, "No, there's this woman." And now here, I think the proper term is probably a person from like the Romani background, although here in America they're okay to be called gypsies. As working in a nurse in a hospital, it's a culture, and we were taught, because there were several large families in our area, and so it is a whole hierarchy in the family order, and just the culture is very unique to them, and fascinating. But we were made aware of it, because there is a way of dealing and making sure you're getting the needs of your patient are met, and you have to take into consideration cultural backgrounds and beliefs and systems, and that you're honoring them, and the whole point is not to let their process in the healthcare system, you're trying to make it so it blends easily, and you're not bringing more stress by being unaware of their culture and their beliefs and things that they need in spiritual, personal, health-wise. It's the total person that you're treating. So I believe that when we went to this person, I believe that she was definitely, I'm going to say, of Romani culture, and she had that. I can remember driving by this place like a lot, and just never really, it's on the peripheral, something I would never think of doing. And but my friend says, "Oh, come with me. I want to have my cards read," and she didn't want to go alone. And so she took me, and I said, "Oh, all right, I'll go." And she goes, "We'll get yours done too." And I go, "Well, I don't really believe in this, so why am I gonna? Oh, just get them done. It'll be fun." So she went first, and I sat there, and I was amazed, because this woman, she absolutely, I can't even tell you what deck of cards she used. I was not really paying attention, because I really didn't believe in it, but I was sitting there, and as much as I wanted to say it was a bunch of hooey at the time, she nailed so much stuff on my friend and what was going on. And I was her confidant, so I knew, and this woman told her everything. Like, there was no way she could know anything about what she was talking to my friend about. And her solution, which I thought was funny, because I was giving my friend a certain advice, and she thought that I was wrong. And this woman basically told her everything that I had already been telling her, but told her the situation without even knowing about it, and how she should, this is what you need to do. So of course my friend was not happy at all because she wanted a different answer. And there she was getting the same advice. I was thinking, why you come here and pay this lady? I already told you all this, but that's beside the point. So then it was my turn. And she just, she, let's just say she made a believer out of me as far as having cards read and a predictive. She told me things she never would have been able to know of, situations that were going on. One of the examples was she had said that I see you moving. I hate to move. I really do not like to move. I had found my place. My kids were in a school system. I'd been in the place for probably about almost 2 years. I liked it. I was settled. And there was no way. And she goes, you'll be coming back to this. No, you won't be moving far. And I'm thinking, well, that is ridiculous. Why would I be not moving very far? Like, why would I move and then not, and on top of it, why would it be, like, I didn't see any reason why I would move where I was because it was central to my work, my friends, my family. Why would I move and it's not even going to be that far away? That made no sense to me. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, lady. That's never going to happen. I hate to move. It's not going to happen. But you will, and I see you doing this in probably about 3 to 4 months. I'm like, 3 to 4 months? Oh, right, okay. Yeah. So I was like, eh. And she goes, and you are going to meet someone, and she goes, I can see there was somebody, and there is nobody anymore, and they're not there anymore. And she goes, do you understand what I'm saying? And I was just like staring at her, and she's like, they're there, but they're no longer there. And I said, yes, I know what you're talking about. She goes, well, you're going to be able to move on from this. And I'm at that point in my life, it was still so real. I thought, well, my kids are my priority, and it's not me. She goes, eventually, she said, she goes, you have children, you have two boys. So she knew. I was like, what is going on? Because, you know, it's not something that I'm wearing on me, like, hey, this is, you can tell anything about me, you know. So she hit things that was, and then she said, you're going to have to do a certain thing. And I think she could tell that I was like kind of shut down from what she was saying. And she's like, you need to do this. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It's not going to happen. You do have to do something. And that's my whole thing with magic and just life in general. You do have to create your life. And I've learned this from this woman, looking back years now. I get what she was trying to say. The universe is there. Your life is, there are things there to help you, but you need to do something. You just can't expect like jobs or people are just going to show up on your doorstep. You need to do something to get out there. But once you find that path, or you put out a path, the universe will move all kinds of obstacles and things out of your way. And what I've found, that it's effortless. When you commit to it, things just flow. There's no struggle. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to it just flows. Everything falls into place like dominoes. I think I've said that before. So needless to say, within 4 months of seeing this woman, I moved. I did move. I moved back home because my father got ill, and my parents needed me to help them. My mother could not take care of him, and of all the daughters, I was the nurse, and I was the most able at the time to assist them. And so she was right. I didn't move very far. I moved very close, but I still moved. So yeah, never in a million years would I've thought or seen that coming. But it did happen. Now, she didn't tell me the reason why, but do I believe she probably could have? Yes. And a good person that reads intuitively or gets messages like that, I think they know you only give enough information. And if you see bad news, I don't think you give it. Yeah. So that's the way I look at tarot, and where I strive to become more intuitive and to read like that. That is my goal. Whether I will ever get it, I think we all have the ability to do that, but it's training. The other, it's 2 books, but it's 1 book now. These are the originals, and this is Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom, a book of tarot. Did I say tarot? Tarot. Part 1 was the major arcana, and then she published the part 2, the minor arcana and readings. So instead of having this all in 1 book, I have the 2 separate books. Anybody that knows Rachel Pollack, in fact, she has another book out, I believe Natalia mentioned it in one of her videos, that she actually likes that one better. I forget the name of it. This is the only one of hers that I have, I don't believe I have another book by her. But I found these extremely helpful. And like I said, I think this book has been out enough so that people are familiar with it. But yeah, I have the ones before it was made into 1 big copy. And the other one that I have to say is only because of my my love for the Thoth. Just having a book that helped me, because it is totally different than the Rider-Waite, and I found this book very helpful in working with that deck and learning about it. I love the way it was set up. It's Keywords for the Crowley Tarot by Hayo Benzoff and Brigitte Zeller. I would recommend this book. Anyone that is looking to work with the Thoth Tarot as a guide and a breakdown. It gives a little history about the Crowley Tarot. And I just found it totally, it has different comprehensive layouts that gave you that I really liked. Astrological tarot readings too. The blind spot, I enjoyed a lot of the readings, the spreads for reading with it. And keywords for the interpretations. And this, if you can probably see, I do like to have keywords. I think I learn better, easier when I have keywords and little things that help me to keep the card in mind. And when I see it, if I have little keywords that I have associated with it, I find it helps. So yeah, here is if this comes up, I like how it comes down, like it breaks it down to general. It has the symbolism and the meaning of what it means in the card, because this is a whole new, I mean, obviously the symbolism on the Rider-Waite, it's so familiar, and that's where I did start. So coming over to the Thoth Tarot was like, oh wow, how do I even get to relate to these images? And so this book was really good for me for that. It had the symbolism of the Fool, April Fool, meaning lunacy, lightheartedness, down to the coloring of the card, the green clothing, vital force, freshness, horns in the crystal, high spirits, connectedness of all being, soles of boots point upward, weightlessness, upside down chalice in the right hand, fire in the left, union of opposites, chalice equals water element, grapes, the sweetness of life, intoxication, rainbow which surrounds the head, a bridge between heaven and earth, conscious ecstasy, 3 connected egg and circle-shaped spirals, because some people get distracted by the spirals and the cards and just the artwork alone. And this really helped me. Spirals with crocodile and tiger, archaic forces, instinctual nature. So getting to learn the symbolism of the card, and then as a card for the day, and it even gives you as a card for the year. So for as a card of the day, you should be open to everything today. Be as unbiased as possible. Don't take anything too seriously, and even view events that disturb you with playful curiosity. I mean, wow. The less you cling to familiar ideas and well-tried pragmatic values, the livelier and more unusual the day will be. In case you discover that you must start at zero again in a certain matter, then be as carefree as possible and risk an unusual beginning. Let yourself be a little crazy today. So, and then it has even card of the year. Now, I have not done a year spread, and I'm going to do that this year. That is one of my goals. And I'm really thinking that I'm going to be using the Thoth Tarot, and this book for my meanings. And then jumping from that point of what does, and then seeing each day that wheel, the year, and the card of the year on when it comes up. In my yearly spread is what I'm trying to get out. And also, actually, if you were just going to draw your one card of the year, that would also be good too. So, but I think I'm going to do my year spread and then read this for each card the month it comes up. So yes, this book was huge in helping get a handle on the artwork and the Thoth deck, and getting to learn all the symbolism, and it really does. This book I found invaluable, so I would definitely recommend this book if you're going to start working with the Thoth deck. I would definitely recommend this book. I'm going to leave it there. I'm up to like 41 and 55, so 56 as it goes on. Thank you for watching. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope you got something out of it. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I appreciate your time that you've spent watching me. Thank you.